One Nation remains open to the government's tax cut, but leader Pauline Hanson says she's not convinced by the government's argument that it will create jobs. Ms Hanson spoke to Sky News earlier this morning. The Finance Minister Mathias Cormann is still trying to get the crossbench to agree to these tax cuts. He's promising more modelling. Have you seen it yet?
No, we haven't seen the modelling. I have actually had talks with Mathias Cormann with regards to this. I've still got an open mind. Okay, I'll be honest about that, because I need to see the modelling. They need to convince me that it is going to be in Australia's best interest. And at this stage, I'm not convinced.
Labor has suggested this is Trumponomics. It is basically giving a big boost to multinationals. They'll take those tax cuts out the door. Is that a...
I wouldn't trust Labor as far as they go. You know, here we say years ago, Labor was supporting a company tax cut. Now they're not. I wish this place and the people in it will stop playing party politics. If something is a good policy, then back it. If it's not, explain why. You can't 1 minute say we want company tax cuts and now you say you're not going to do it. You know, I don't trust Labor or what they say. What I'm saying about this is, you know, I've had good advice about the taxation, and I'm not a tax expert by no means, but when the Treasurer comes out and says based it on America's tax cut, they're not telling the whole truth. You've got America, they're reducing it to 21%. But they didn't tell you that of the 50 states, 48 of them have their own state company taxes, anywhere between 2 to 12%, which averages out at 26% company tax. Plus their deductions are totally different to ours.
So you're not totally comparing apples with apples?
Correct. It's not. And, you know, I've been on about multinationals for the last 21 years about paying their fair share of tax in this country, and I still don't believe that we are there. If you think that a drop in company corporate tax is going to create higher wages, it's a joke. Okay. They're kidding themselves. That's not what I'm hearing from businesses. You've got the head of Orica, the largest explosive company in the world. He doesn't even agree with it. We need to address rising electricity prices. You've got to address the cost of gas, the overheads that they're paying, the red tape. This will create industry and jobs.
Do you believe that, though, that a tax cut for big business would lead to higher wages for Australian workers?
No, I don't. Why should it? If you look at the big companies now, even your banks, they're making $6 billion to $10 billion profit. Have they put on more people? No, they haven't. They're cutting it. What they will do is pay down their debt, these companies, if they're going to make more profits. They will actually, you know, go into automation. They're going to sack people. Until we get, you know, we've got a lot of underemployment. People are really concerned about employing people, putting them on full time. We've got such a big issue with workplace health and safety, industrial relations. These things need to be addressed. If you're going to get the big companies and service companies, if they've got to employ someone with a special skill, okay, they put it out there, they will demand the higher wage, by all means. But the average person who's working on the shop floor, are they going to get an increase in wage? No, they don't.
What about the idea of a grand bargain, a sort of accord-style arrangement with business where if you offered those tax cuts, they agreed to deliver something in the way of higher wages?
They won't. You can't force a business to do that. These big businesses want to actually pay their shareholders, you know, higher dividends. You're going to get company directors who get bigger bonuses. They've admitted they are not going to employ more people. They will not pay them higher wages.
I want to talk to you about Michaela Cash. She's getting a lot of criticism for essentially raising what she said were rumours about female staffers working for Bill Shorten's office. Now, you've been the subject of rumours all throughout your political career as well.
Not about
Not about that?
Not about staffers and men and all this. Oh, God, no.
I seem to remember that there was a bit of... Wasn't there stuff with David Oldfield when he worked for you that you were the subject of vicious rumours and innuendo in relation to that?
No, that was after I was out of politics, nothing to do with it. But the whole fact was that here we're talking about people who are married, all right? Let's get it straight. You know, I haven't been married for a long, long time, since the 80s. So you know, so don't drag it back to me, okay? I've got a clean slate. But, yeah, no, look...
Do you think it was acceptable what Michaela Cash did, though? Because a lot of the women in Bill Shorten's office are really upset that they've been targeted and smeared on the basis of nothing.
You know what? I'm so fed up with it. People are fed up with it, this tick for tack and getting in the gutter and gutter politics. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm dealing with issues here, you know, people who are, you've got ICE addicts, you've got people without jobs, you've got suicide that's happening, you've got so many problems, and I'm sick and tired of seeing this place being dragged into the gutter politics and not dealing with the real issues.
But who's to blame? I mean, is the Prime Minister somewhat to blame for announcing this sex ban, and that's all anyone can talk about?
He's done it to try and, you know, pull his cabinet and, you know, maintain some credibility. He can do that as Prime Minister under his cabinet. It doesn't go any further than that. He's got no jurisdiction over anyone else in this Parliament. And if they want to step out of line as a cabinet minister, well then he can say, well, I don't wish to have you as a cabinet minister.
Can I ask you about that horrific story of the little girl, the 2-year-old girl in the Northern Territory who was raped? There's a big debate now about whether or not there is a reluctance to take children away from their parents because of
that upsets me.
Cultural sensitivity.
It really upsets me to think that that's happened to that child, and then they put the child back into the hands of the family. You know, regardless, I don't care what the colour of your skin is, what your cultural background, whatever. The whole fact is that we have to protect the innocent. We have to protect the children. And yet we are reluctant to do it because you're racist. Or go back to the stolen generation. Well, I'm sick of hearing it.
Now, also, speaking of children, there is also this concern now about children that are returning from the Middle East. They are born to foreign fighters or mothers who have married foreign fighters overseas. Now, in many cases, these children have a right to claim Australian citizenship by descent. Should they be allowed back into the country as that young baby was that we heard about last week?
I question it. Okay, if the mother is dual citizenship, strip her of Australian citizenship. Do not allow her back in the country with the child. Okay, I don't want these people back here, and the majority of Australians don't want them either. They are, you know, against what we stand for. Everything what is, you know, about Australian. And
it's tough though, isn't it? Because that child is an innocent victim of their adults' crimes.
I'm sorry. Their parents made the choice. Their parents made the choice, all right? So what are we going to do? Every time that a parent makes a choice and goes over there and fights, that we've got to feel sorry for the child? No. A parent has to be responsible for the child. They've got to make the decision, right? If I do this, then I'm not going to allow my child to have a decent life in Australia. The child, and we've seen that with these 3 boys that stood beside their father holding a severed head. Do I want those children ever to be in a classroom beside my grandchildren? No, I don't. I wouldn't have them anywhere near. How much is it going to cost us to keep an eye on them for the rest of life? Their psychological damage that may be done, or the hatred that they have towards us who are infidels, who are completely incompatible with their beliefs, their ideology. We have to start protecting our own here. They've made a choice, and it's a tough decision that they're making, but I know that, you know, the majority of Australians will feel the same way that I do.
And just on that, in terms of locking the door potentially to these people, has Peter Dutton or any of the government ministers given you an outline of how they would like to pursue this issue, whether there's a way to actually cancel more dual citizenships of foreign fighters overseas?
No, I haven't spoken to him. This is why I'm pushing for citizenship in Australia. They're having trouble getting it through just up to 4 years, right, before someone can get their citizenship. I believe it should be at least 7, 8 years, and I've got a private member's bill on the floor of Parliament. We have to ensure that these people are going to abide by our laws, our democracy, will assimilate into our society and truly want to be here. So we need to toughen it. And I wouldn't want them to see them get rid of their dual citizenship after that for another 10 years anyway. So if they do, let's strip them of the Australian citizenship and deport them out of the country and get rid of them.
Okay, just finally, there was some evidence of Senate estimates this week that the Australian Electoral Commission, I think, said that was still a live investigation in terms of that plane that you were flying around, the Pauline Hanson plane.
This.
So what's happening with that?
You tell me. Absolutely pathetic. This has been going on for over a year. Over a year. There has been no investigation. They said they're still waiting for information. We've given all the information to them over a year ago.
Have they interviewed you?
No.
Have they contacted your staff?
Probably the head office that's been working with it. Not in my office here, but probably the head office.
Would you do it differently next time someone offers you a plane?
But you know what? Because I've done nothing wrong. It's a joke. It's a witch hunt, and it's so pathetic because Clive Palmer used his private aeroplane. This is different. This is not a party plane. Everything was disclosed. The Electoral Commission solicitor, through a conduit or someone associated with the party, said there's no issue here. This has been pursued because it's political. And what a waste of the taxpayers' dollars. There is nothing in this whatsoever. There is no cost to the taxpayer at all. It's about a declaration. The declaration was made, it's on the table. This is drawn out. What? They're going to draw it out to the next federal election and let's pull it out of the bag to try and discredit myself or the party? I don't trust them, and I've got no time for them. And for an organisation as big as the Australian Electoral Commission, who have not come to a decision for more than a year, it's pathetic.
That was Pauline Hanson there with some interesting things to say, I think, particularly in relation to the AEC investigation and tax. Now, the Prime Minister...